She kissed you goodnight at 10:30 p.m. The way she always does, one hand on your jaw, a kiss that is brief and completely genuine. Then her forehead against yours for exactly 1 second, which is a habit she has had since your first year together, and which you have never once told her you love, because some things are too precisely right to risk by naming them. She said, "Good night. I love you." You said, "I love you. Sleep well." She was asleep in 4 minutes. You know this because you listened to her breathing, change the way you have listened to it, change every night for 3 years, and it is one of the most comforting sounds in your life. At 3:17 a.m., you are woken by movement. Sarah is sitting upright in bed, completely upright, her back straight, her eyes open, staring at the wall above the dresser with an expression that your brain tries to process and cannot find a category for. You say her name. She does not turn. You touch her shoulder. She does not move. And then, in a voice that uses her mouth and her face and produces a sound that is close to her voice, the way a copy is close to an original, she says to the wall, to whatever she is looking at on the wall that you cannot see, "I found him." 3 words. Then she lies back down, eyes closed, breathing normal, as if nothing happened. You sit in the dark beside your wife for a very long time. You do not sleep again. Let me tell you who Sarah is, because what is happening now is happening to a specific person, and that person deserves to be known before we talk about what is wrong with her. Sarah teaches second grade. She has done this for 6 years, and she still comes home talking about her students with the enthusiasm of someone in their first week. She knows every child's birthday. She buys supplies with her own money every September without mentioning it. She is the kind of teacher that children remember for the rest of their lives. She laughs at your terrible jokes, not politely, genuinely, fully, the laugh that starts in her eyes before it reaches her mouth. You have been making the same categories of terrible joke for 3 years, and she still laughs, and you are aware that this is one of the greatest gifts any person has ever given you. She sings in the kitchen, off key, completely committed. She knows she is off key and sings anyway because the song matters more to her than the pitch. And this says everything about who Sarah is. The thing itself always matters more than how it looks. She holds your hand when you walk anywhere. Not constantly, just reaches for it at a specific moment in every walk, usually about 2 minutes in, when the conversation has settled and the walking is comfortable, and her hand finds yours without either of you having decided it should. This is the person in the bed beside you at 3:17 a.m. This is the person who said, "I found him," to a wall in a voice that was almost hers. Whatever is happening, whatever this is, it is happening to her. And that is the only thing that matters. Getting her back. Whatever it costs. Whatever it requires you to believe that you have never believed before. The changes do not arrive all at once. That would be almost easier. Instead, they come the way cold comes in autumn, gradually, by degrees, each one small enough to explain away until there are too many to explain. Day 3 after the 3:17 a.m. moment. She does not sing in the kitchen. You notice but do not say anything because people have quiet mornings. Day 5. She does not reach for your hand on the walk to the car. You notice. You reach for hers. She lets you hold it but does not hold back. Her hand in yours like something set down rather than offered. Day 7. You make the terrible joke, the specific one about architects that she has laughed at 14 times, and she looks at you with an expression that is not unkind, but is completely empty of recognition, as if she is hearing it for the first time and finding it neither funny nor unfunny, but simply irrelevant. Day 8. You wake at 2 a.m., and she is standing at the window, looking at the street below. When you say her name, she turns and she smiles, her smile exactly her smile, and she says, "I couldn't sleep. Come back to bed." You go back to bed. She holds you, her arms around you, her face against your neck, the familiar warmth of her. You close your eyes, and against your neck, very quietly, she says something in a language you do not recognize. Day 9. You call Naomi. You tell Naomi everything. The 3:17 a.m., the voice, the 9 days of changes, the language against your neck that you recorded on your phone, 3 seconds of something that no translation app recognized and that made the screen freeze when you tried to play it back the second time. Naomi listens to all of it at your kitchen table without interrupting. She is the kind of person who listens before she responds because she knows that the response is only as good as the listening that preceded it. When you finish, she is quiet for a moment. Then she says, "Has she seen a doctor?" You say, "She will not go. I suggested it on day 4. She looked at me, not like Sara looks at me, like something looking at me through Sara. And she said, 'There is nothing wrong with me,' in a tone that closed the conversation completely. Naomi says, 'Has she slept?' You say she sleeps, but wrong. She lies too still. Sara always moves in her sleep. You know this. She has always moved. Now she lies like something that is performing sleep rather than actually sleeping. Naomi looks at her hands. Then she says something you were not expecting. She says, 'Our grandmother, on our mother's side. When we were children, she used to talk about a thing that happened to our great aunt in the village she grew up in. She used to describe it exactly the way you just described Sara. The stillness, the eyes, the language that wasn't a language anyone knew. You say, Naomi? She says, I know. I know how it sounds. But you called me because you needed someone to believe you, and I am choosing to believe you. So what do? You say, I found someone, a priest. He came recommended by the hospital chaplain. Don't ask how that conversation happened. His name is Father Daniel. He has agreed to come. Naomi says, when? You say, tonight. She says, I'll be here. She finally picks up the coffee. She drinks it even though it has gone cold. Because Naomi finishes things, she starts regardless of whether the conditions are still ideal. This is who she is. This is why you called her. Father Daniel is 67 years old and looks exactly like someone's grandfather and nothing like what the movies prepared you for. He comes in. He shakes your hand. He shakes Naomi's hand. He sets his bag down with the matter-of-fact efficiency of someone who has done this before and is not going to make it more theatrical than it needs to be. He says, tell me about her. Not what has been happening. Tell me about who she is. So you tell him. The second grade classroom, the terrible jokes, the kitchen singing, the hand at 2 minutes into every walk, the forehead against yours for exactly 1 second every night. Father Daniel listens with his hands folded and his eyes on you, and when you finish, he says, you love her very specifically. You say yes. He says, good. That is the most important thing I needed to know. The love is specific. Remember that. Whatever you see tonight, whatever speaks to you or says things designed to make you doubt, the love is specific, and specific things are real. Hold on to it. He asks to see her alone first. You wait in the kitchen with Naomi. You listen. The house is very quiet. Then from the bedroom, not a sound you can describe. Something that makes the temperature in the kitchen drop by several degrees and makes Naomi reach across the table and hold your hand without saying anything. 14 minutes pass. Then Father Daniel appears in the kitchen doorway. He looks tired in a way he did not look tired when he arrived. He sits down. He accepts the water you offer. He says, she is in there. She has not gone anywhere. I want you to understand that first. She is present. What is also present is something that arrived, he pauses, through the old house she visited 3 weeks ago, the one her school uses for a history trip. There was something in that building that had been waiting for a long time and found a way through someone who was open-hearted enough not to have her guard up. That is not a flaw. That is the cost of being the kind of person she is. You say, can you get it out? Father Daniel says, I believe so. But I need you in the room. Not because of anything dramatic, because she can hear you. Whatever is using her cannot fully silence her. When I do what I need to do, she will need to hear your voice, her specific anchor. Do you understand? You say yes. He says, say her name, only her name, over and over if necessary, as many times as it takes. Your voice saying her name is the thing she is holding on to. Don't stop. You stand up. Naomi squeezes your hand. You walk down the hallway. You open the bedroom door. You say her name. You say it the first time, and the thing in the room, not Sara, the thing wearing Sara, turns its face towards you. And the face does something that Sara's face has never done, and your hands shake, but your voice does not shake, because your voice knows what it is doing, even when the rest of you does not. You say her name again. Father Daniel is doing what he is doing, quietly, precisely, in Latin that fills the room with a weight that is different from the weight that was already there. A counterweight. Something old, meeting something old. You say her name again and again and again because she is in there. Father Daniel said she is in there. And Father Daniel has been in this territory 4 decades, and you are choosing to believe him the way Naomi chose to believe you. And choosing to believe is the only act of love available to you right now. Sara, Sara, Sara. And then in the middle of everything, in the middle of the Latin and the cold and the thing that has been wearing your wife's face for 9 days, her hand, her actual hand, reaching, you take it immediately. You hold it with both of yours the way you have never held her hand on any walk, because this is not a 2 minute into the walk hand. This is a do not let go hand. A I am here, I am here, I am here hand. The room changes. You feel it before you see it. A pressure releasing, the way a room feels after a storm passes. The specific exhale of air returning to normal. Father Daniel stops speaking. Sarah's eyes close, then open, then close again, then open, really open. Her eyes, looking at you. She says, in her voice, her actual voice, slightly rough and slightly confused the way she sounds when she wakes from a deep sleep. Why are you holding my hand so hard? You laugh. You laugh in a way that is also crying, and you hold her face in your hands and you put your forehead against hers and you stay there for a long time. Longer than 1 second. Much longer than 1 second. She says, you're scaring me. What happened? You say, I'll tell you everything. Not right now. Right now, I just need to be here. She reaches up and holds your face in her hands the way she did at 10:30 p.m. 9 days ago. She looks at you. She says, okay, we can just be here. 3 days later, Sara is herself, completely, fully, recognizably herself. She sings in the kitchen. She reaches for your hand at 2 minutes into every walk. She laughs at the terrible architect joke. She has no memory of the 9 days. Father Daniel said she might not. He said that is a mercy, and you believe him. The forehead at 10:30 p.m. 1 second, exactly 1 second. Some nights you lie awake after, and you think about the things Father Daniel said. About something waiting in an old building for someone open-hearted enough not to have their guard up. About Sara being exactly that. Open-hearted, completely without protection, in the way that makes her extraordinary at her job, and extraordinary as a person, and apparently once vulnerable to something that knew an open door when it found one. You think about what it cost her, what it cost you. The 9 days and the 3:17 a.m.s and the hand that held back and the kitchen that went quiet. And then you think about her hand reaching in that bedroom through everything, through whatever was in her, reaching. She was always there. She never left. She held on from the inside for 9 days in a way you will never fully know the shape of. And she held on because you were saying her name. That is what this story is about. Not possession, not horror, not the thing in the old house. This story is about saying someone's name so many times and with so much specific love that even the darkest thing cannot fully silence them. Remember that. Know the people you love specifically enough to call them back and never stop saying their name. Drop in the comments, what is the one thing about the person you love that only you know? The specific detail, the 2-minute hand, the 1 second forehead, because the comments section of this video is about to become the most beautiful thing on the internet, and I want to read every single one. Subscribe to Borrowed Lives. Every week a different life. Every week something true about love. See you in the next Borrowed Life.